Hello, everyone. My name is Kyan Elwitz, and welcome to another discussion of Empowered Men, Breaking Barriers and Building Bridges. Today's topic is Men Raising Men, Challenges of Raising Black Sons. Systematic racism impacts Black boys in many different ways, from biased policing to unfair treatment in schools. Black parents, guardians, and mentors must proactively teach these young men to understand these challenges and empower themselves to raise above them. Before we get into the discussion, I'm going to let the panelists introduce themselves, and we're going to start with Mr. Vaughn.
Oh, thank you so much, Keon, and everybody there today. Thank you so much for being with us today. Kevin Vaughn, CEO and founder of the Men Let's Talk Network, guys. And we're excited to be here today with the brothers and my beautiful sister today. God bless you.
All right, and Mr. Malum.
Good afternoon. My name is Malam Nadan, and I'm excited to be part of this conversation and offer some wisdom.
Yeah.
All right, and Mr. Hawkins.
What's up, guys? Virgil Hawkins, President, CEO of the AON Initiative. Happy to be a part of this panel discussion.
Good. And Mr. McNeil.
Richard McNeil, native of Atlanta, coach and mentor in this area since 1991, and definitely blessed and privileged to be a part of this conversation, guys. Nice meeting you all again.
So the first question we're going to throw at you guys is, what does being a father or a father figure mean to you, especially in the context of raising a Black son? I'll start it off if you fellas don't mind.
Go ahead.
Raising a son,
Yeah.
it's a gift, and sometimes it could be a curse, depending on what the situation is. In an instance that happened with my son, I think he was like 14 or 15. He was walking home from school, and the police ran up on him like super quick and stopped right in front of him, almost made him flip over the hood of the car off of his bike.
Wow.
And they started patting him down and where you coming from and all this here type of stuff, going through his book bag and everything. And
Wow.
that was a very frightening situation to him as well as me.
Yeah.
Because in that case, I guess they were just trying to intimidate him, or probably would have went further if he wouldn't have been scared to the point of not reacting the wrong way.
Right.
So that was one of the hardships for me as well as him. And coming back to raising a Black child, a Black male child, is you always got to have them on their P's and Q's for when they're out with their friends. What type of friends do they hang around with? What are they doing when they hanging around with their friends? What time of day or night is he going to do whatever he's doing? That's a frightening thing for, me as a parent. And then with me not being able to be there 24/7, it was also a big conflict. So
Yeah.
I could teach him certain things, but the other parent was teaching him some other things. So that's my explanation for that question.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, also too, guys, I do have an awesome son as well. And one of the things, when you become a dad, right, guys, after your son is born or daughter is born, but in this case, son is born, you want to make sure you do best you can, right? The first thing. And most of the time, I didn't even know what to do, right, guys? I didn't know what to do. But what I had to do, though, guys, I could draw from my dad, my own dad, right? How he raised me. I could also draw from my uncles, how they raised their family. And you kind of had back when we were born, guys were raising up, you had at least a community of people between the church and your family and your community. You could at least see some good things happening in the home, specifically with other families raising their sons. So I was able to at least take some of the positive stuff, I'm talking about the positive stuff now, and be able to apply that to my own family later on as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. But taking stuff from my own dad, and then learning from my uncles and people from church and things like that, that helped a tremendous, guys. That especially when you're there in the room, or to say in the hospital, when your son is born or daughter's born, it changes you, man, almost immediately. To say I got to do right. So I'll never forget that time, man. I literally cried when I saw my son and daughter born, man. It was just amazing. But it did change me and help me mature more. So I would have to say our community helps a lot, man. How we were raised, and help raise our sons today as well. Yeah, that's a good question.
Hey, just to build on what you're saying, Mr. Vine, I think that was pretty phenomenal. For me, I think I stand in that same space that you're talking about. I have three sons right now. They from age 25, 24, and 18. And it's quite a challenge because we know the stats say one in three end up incarcerated or at least connected to that system.
Yeah.
And so when we're raising children, particularly in the United States, we are battling multiple forces. There's co-parenting, like you said, the other parent involved, or not involved. And then there is your community, right? So it's our color, our community, but then also we're dealing with um, I would say a police force and a structural force that's there as well that we're battling against. And then the last thing we're battling against is technology, right? Which is far more pervasive now than it's been in the past. And it's getting into the second of our youth. So that's part of what the challenge is we're dealing with.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Hawkins.
That's right where I was getting ready to go. Specifically for me, raising my two sons, before they even came in the world, already had a daughter. I have a 21-year-old daughter, but my oldest son is 12. So the gap in there, what really drove me was ensuring that I have a great love for children in general. Specialize in working with youth and young adults in the tech space. So doing media education, trying to get pathways aligned with kids who have an interest in tech into college or higher learning institutions.
Yeah.
Doing that type of work before my son got here, that was rewarding and fulfilling because now you're playing a role model role and you got to have yourself together as a young man, navigating your own life, but then allowing your life to be an example for those that you are working towards, showing them how they can potentially navigate through their own life. And then by the time my son got here, now that he's 12 years old, it is more critical for me now in my 40s to be able to not only lead by example, but ensuring that every step that I take sets up his future as well. Yeah. And then in the same capacity as being still a leader in the community, I still have to be that role model that is looked at like, hey, here's an example of a man or a guy that my son, my daughter can take a look at and pull some things out of as well. So just like we're trying to navigate our kids, we're navigating through, the new technology things, the new ways of handling finances, the new ways and the new dynamic of family matters. They're not the same as they were in the 70s. So here we are navigating as men, working towards our way, but we have to remember too, we're examples for those that are looking at us as well. So
that's good.
Okay, Mr. McNeil.
Well, I guess I'm kind of at a disadvantage here, fellas, because I don't have any kids of my own. But as a mentor and a coach,
Yeah.
you know, there's a uncle aspect that you can take to it, right? That's different than being a father, right? And so kids will come to you in different scenarios where they wouldn't approach, right? And so it's the blessing of my life is I have so many failures that I can be honest when I'm talking to these kids. I believe in not preaching to them, but letting them talk so that they get it out. Because I think the word education, it means to bring out, right? And so they come into this world and they have a mission. And so helping them get those things out so that they understand themselves and then how to operate as an African-American male in this society as well. So yeah, that's appreciate it, y'all.
Yeah, that's good, coach. Yeah, that's really good.
Hey, one of the most endearing terms that today that I get called is Unc.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, because it just means that much that, you know, oh, okay, I'm listening, Unc. Or I hear they go Unc right there, somebody that's gonna take care of you, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, that term is that term is I've embraced it. Let's say that.
Yeah. I get called that at work. And some of the kids, they like half my age, or
Right.
even some of those that's in their 30s, their early 30s, they I think it's a respect thing
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
for this generation. I think it's a respect thing.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they need that, guys, as you know, they need that. I mean, they need to have a role model in their life, and
Yes.
that's great. That's a great position, coach. Any coach that's doing that at any level, man, that's a great position to be in because you guys can influence, generations to come, not just your own, but others as well.
Yeah. All right. So going to question number 2, Mr. Vaughn has already kind of touched on it, but it's what has been the most rewarding part of fatherhood for
Wow, good one, man.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, matter of fact, I guess real quick, guys, I was thinking with my son, I just having him here, just
Yeah.
having him in our life, And my son is in his 40s, man. I let him know how much I love him, how proud am of him, and all the above, man. So just having him here on the planet with me is an honor, man, right there in itself, And just thanking God he's with us and doing what he does, and trying to make sure he gets what he's supposed to do, not what I think he's supposed to be doing as well. And the last thing, guy, like I have to get used to it, is listening to some of his advice now.
Yeah, because the times have changed a lot, man. So
Yeah,
you
he's
got to kind of listen to the youth
yeah,
nowadays, and kind of figure out their
right.
way of doing things.
Exactly, his perspective. So you got to put the dad hat back on backwards a little bit and say that maybe he's right, what he's talking about. So always have to just learn to listen, right? Don't be so judgmental. Hey, I'm the dad here, don't always say that.
Right. Yeah.
But
So you
it's
got
all
to learn. Yeah,
yeah,
it's all in the process.
yeah.
Uh,
Just having our children here, man, is a blessing, as you know, guys know.
yeah. So I
Mr. Vaughn,
guess
okay, sorry.
no. Go ahead, Miss Mellon.
He just elevated the conversation, so I want to try to build off of that, if I may. I think one of the most promising, rewarding things is not so much what we've offered them, but what they've offered us back. I think is a reason why we call it parenting.
Yeah,
They're not the parent, they're the child, right? So what's actually happening is it's all about parenting, really all about is getting yourself in order, not their self in order, and allow them to find their own voice
yeah,
um, without our ego. So it is putting your hat on backwards sometimes, just taking a moment to see what you can learn from them.
yeah,
And I think it's a call for us in these times to shift that paradigm because we've moved away from that. And some of that's an artifact of slavery, chattel slavery in particular, where it's a control thing. When our ego gets into it,
yeah.
we all can laugh at the joke, I brought you in this world, I can take you out, my way, the highway, I pay and do that. That paradigm doesn't work anymore. And we have to stop raising our sons that way because we're raising them to follow when we do that. We're not raising them to be their own independent leaders.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So I
That
think. Go ahead, Vert.
that right there, that is huge.
Yeah.
It spills into my answer that would be, rewarding part of fatherhood for children, but the most rewarding part outside of just the sheer entertainment I get out of every one of my kids looking exactly alike and
Yeah.
people thinking all of them are twins with the age gap.
Yeah.
My son, specifically my 12-year-old son, challenges me intellectually with the parenting. So I'm fellas, I'm taking that, putting that hat on backwards, and I'm running with that term in these little speeches I'm gonna be giving to some of these parents and kids later on this week. But he challenges me to turn that hat backwards. We were arguing the other day about something, not arguing, but having
Right.
a morning discussion before we out the door.
Yeah.
And I told him to do something very specific. And he looked at me and was like, why? Because you said so. And it caught me so off guard that I'm like, oh, you need an explanation,
Right.
not just because of who I am and what I asked you to do. You need an explanation as to why you should do it. Here,
Mm.
let me tell you why this is important for you to do it this way, son.
That thing.
Loved it. Loved
Yeah.
every bit of it. That boy,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's challenging.
Yeah.
I'm trying to come into my own now. I know what I want to be. What is the reason why you're asking me to do these things? And
Right.
he does it in tech, which drives. I'm telling you, I could, man.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
love my kid,
Yes.
but that
Yes.
12-year-old boy right there, boy, that juju,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good example there, man. That's a
Yep.
really
Yep.
Yeah. And that wasn't how traditionally, or at least over the last couple of years, we've been taught, right? Get knocked over the head for doing that. I'm just challenging that.
yeah.
But now we're allowing them to have their own autonomy and self-power. It's no longer command and control, man. It's hold and behold and help to bring them along. That's so beautiful. And that speaks to your security as a man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The best thing that I can imagine is grandma looking down and smiling,
Yeah.
because I wasn't one of those kids that was hushed up and was told to be quiet. I was given explanations and reasons why I was asked to do something. And if I
Yeah.
wasn't doing it,
Right.
this is why you're getting what you're getting.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
spills from how I was raised.
Wow.
Mhm.
And then somewhere along the line, you let the society come in and you watch other things that's happening and you see how other people raise their kids.
Right.
But then the mistake is it don't adapt to these kids today. A lot of the stuff that we was doing back then don't work on a lot of these kids.
Oh no. No
And
sir.
so they've getting smarter quicker,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but only if if they're starting out correctly. If you got, you
Right.
know, the love of raising children and doing it the right way, those are the,
Yeah.
the, to use
Mhm.
my uncle term, the whippersnappers that
Yeah.
are now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
intellectually involved, is
Yeah.
stimulating us as parents and adults. So
Yeah. That's good, man. Really good. Matter of fact, I was just thinking, guys, real quick. One thing we did with our children, my wife and I, is that we raised them to think for themselves too.
Yeah.
When you raise them to think for themselves and they come back with some attitude or something, you better think about what you said to them. So that's a good one, man. You got to let them be them as well, but also have the respect, of being a parent too at the same time. So yeah, that's good.
All right, Mr. McNeil, what made you become a mentor to the children that you mentor? What love do you get out of that?
Man, it's something I've had since I was younger. My daddy was a coach here in Atlanta, but I've always coached. I always looked at, even when I played football, I looked at the receivers behind me and taught them, hey man, here's what you do, here's what you do. But I think what I'm blessed with, man, is having that education of African American studies. And I realize at this moment right now is where we are, right? We've come from slavery, right? And we've come to where we are now, where technology is here. And like my man said, these are individuals. We realize that kids are a gift, that God allows them to be here, but they're a gift. So now if they're a gift, let me let them be the individual, right? And so that's the rewarding part. If you remember who you were and the stumbles you had and the triumphs you had and the roadblocks you had and all that, they're going to experience the same thing. So sit back and say, well, how you going to do that? What you going to do with that? So as my man said, let them think for themselves. Well, because one of the things that is big with any kid around me, like, what's your plan?
Right.
Yeah.
You got a plan 1, 2, 3. Man, that's solid. Go with that. But if you sitting there, like as a coach, I'm sitting there and you going, well, coach, I know you don't know. Now you need some direction. But coach, he's coming inside, he's taking his shoulder, and then when I come here, he's that. Now I say, okay, well, here's how we go around that, right?
Yeah.
And so with this time that we're in now, and see, we have the education of where we come from, right? They don't have that civil rights, be called the N-word in public, and all those things that we can bring to the table, right? But then we've got to respect what they have. You know, we didn't have mass shootings in school. We didn't have cell phones that you can get all this immediate information when you're not mature enough to handle it, right?
Yeah.
And so what I love at this stage of being a father, uncle, and coach is when I see them grab it and I see them have ideas and they run with it. And that's what I love when they look at it and I can respect it. I'm like, wow, wait a minute. I met a 24-year-old boy who got 2 Airbnbs already and married. What?
Yeah.
So that's what I love. I love watching them grab this new life, and then those that can't get it, pointing them in the direction that and watching the light come on.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the answer to that question number 2, watching the light come on and watching them grab it and go. That's what I like.
Yeah, that's it.
Good. Now for me, I think the most rewarding part of being a father is I'm actually a grandfather now. My son just had his first child.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah. The child is about a year old.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But it's see what the process for me is when he was born, the best thing to me at that time was pulling him out because the doctor got the head and the shoulders out, but the rest of the way I pulled him out and got to cut the umbilical cord. So that was a very special moment for me.
Yeah,
and then now to see my son, who just turned 24 in April, you know, he just had his first son at the age of 23. And just trying to mentor him through the process of being a father, and you know the hardships, the sparkles, and all of it, because it all goes together.
Yeah.
So just seeing him flourish now as a man himself, and let him know that I'm so proud of him. The man he's got him a job and he's sticking with it, and you know, got the family together, even though they had some situations, but you know, the family is still together now. They got their own apartment, got car, and you know, they doing what they need to do, and he's doing what he need to do as a man. So that's a very proud moment for me.
Yeah, buddy, you better believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on to the third question. What challenges have you faced being a Black father raising a son?
Wow, another great question.
Yeah.
Hey, that's actually one of my favorite questions, guys. And the one I had to learn later on is, first of all, finding who I was. That was the biggest one for me, guys. I had to find out who I was.
Yes, definitely. That's a
Still
big one.
working on that. Yeah, still working on that daily. But I really had to find really who Kevin Vaughn was, man, in order to be a better dad, better husband, all the above. But really just really working on me, to sum that up in general. And there's so many different ways that it worked at, but just working on me, guys, that helped me tremendously to be a better dad and then be able to relate to my son a lot better and be able to adjust to what his needs was as well, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that, Mr. Vaughn. That's so powerful, man. I mean, again, back to that point, we call it parenting, not childing. So I think the key to doing that is to look at how you can work on yourself.
Yeah.
So much about conflicts that we have with our children are actually conflicts we have with ourselves. You know, that first arrow is we get that ouch. And instead of taking time work through that, what is just uncovering in me from my trauma, my childhood, whatever, we then instantly throw it on the child. And I think that separates relationships. You know, you start correcting instead of connecting.
Mm,
You know,
like that.
and that connection is powerful. It is, and it's subtle. I have another word one I learned from a coach, my son's coach. He said that the difference between I'm proving and improving. Just think of those two words, how close that is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
proving, improving. You do
Right.
one of those two. So when that situation happens and you get a little resistance, turn into yourself to see who opens up in you is far more important
Mm-hmm.
than what how that child responded or their circumstance. And then now you can model for them how to respond to circumstances, not react to them.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's good.
Mr. Hawkins.
My biggest one is being that protector provider and understanding that role in totality.
Yeah.
Just bringing it to the spiritual side just for a second. The head of the household, spiritual head of the household,
Yeah.
bears a different type of a weight because you're going against what society say you should do, and you have your life based around the model of where God gave us the template of Jesus on how he interacted with his son.
Yeah.
And Jesus gave us the lessons and the teachings to be able to give ourselves to the Father.
Yeah.
And with those things come a lot of selflessness, a lot of compassion, a lot of love, being soft, knowing when to turn on the discipline, knowing when to approach things in a manner for which you never want to tear your child down, but you want to be able to give them what they need, how they need it
Yeah.
in a selfless manner. It does mean late nights. It does mean sacrificing what you want to do. It does mean ensuring that you have to do things out in the world
Yeah.
to ensure that the foundation of
Yeah.
what you bring and what you stand for in your household gets taken care of. So that's the biggest thing. That's my biggest challenge when it comes to, just the life in general that our household leads, is ensuring that my spiritual life stays intact regardless of what I'm doing, however, whatever situation that I'm in, however I approach it. Not just saying that, God's first, but ensuring that the life and the lifestyle and the mannerisms, the character and the integrity now lines up with that. But that goes back to the example of what I want my son to be. I don't want him to look at me saying one thing and doing another.
All right.
And
Absolutely.
I'm tired of doing that, being one way in the public and this way behind doors. No, I'm the same guy. Since that pure dedication of giving my life over to Christ, I'm that same guy behind closed doors, in front of people, in front of my kids, in front of my wife. And I'm proud of that guy more today. Never, I'm not a bad dude, no way, but I have things a little bit more in focus now.
Yeah.
But it is a challenge, man. It's a challenge.
Yep,
It's a
absolutely.
challenge. So
It sure is. That's why we got to work on it every day, guys.
every day, every single day, because there's
Yeah.
just so much out there that you can get pulled into, or you fall back into, or you see where you want to go, you see where you want to be, but then your own selfish pride and ego might try to get in the way of that. And so those are the things.
Yeah.
Mr. Vaughn, did we get you?
Yeah, sure did, just buddy.
Okay. Mr. McNeil, for you, have you ever heard, just trying to be a good mentor and coach to people, to young youth, have you ever heard the phrase of, you ain't my daddy?
Yeah, yeah, definitely early on I heard it. When I first started coaching in the 90s, yeah, you hear that a lot. And you
Yeah.
let them have that. You let them have that.
Right.
And so what I've learned from 91 to now is what changed from that humility and listening.
Yeah.
Staying humble, realizing that you're the servant. Like my man said, who just spoke before me, Mr. Vaughn. Hey, bro, that's that peanut butter you just put on it. But that's that peanut butter without the jelly you just put in here, son. But humility and listening, those are the two things. And so when you hear a kid say, "You ain't my daddy," you know he hurting. So it's no reason to respond.
Right.
You let him have that, and then later on you have a conversation. Hey man, I heard you say that. What's really going on with you? And then you get what's really bothering that kid.
Yeah, coach.
You know what I'm saying? And so humility, before, like you said, my parents would do it my way or the highway, and you would see
Right.
it different, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
and then learning to listen, hey man, what's going on with you? Cause see, I'm gonna share this with y'all. I heard this the other day. Uh, they asked these Native Americans that went to Vietnam War, they were good at tracking the Viet Cong, and they said, "Well, why are you guys so good?" They said, "That's because when we go in the jungle, we're looking for the disturbed and the undisturbed."
Mm.
So we know we're supposed to be men and young men. We're raising young men, and you're peaceful and you're prospering and you're doing you perseverance and all those things, and you're not doing it. Okay, well, what's going on with you?
Right.
To the side. So, man, that I read that the other day. Looking for the disturbed and the undisturbed.
That's
So
good.
yeah, yeah, man. So, but yeah, humility and listening. Those are the two skills that
Yeah.
get that part right there.
Okay.
But they say you ain't my dad. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
how.
So I don't know if I answered the question, but I'm gonna go ahead and answer it as well.
Yeah.
Uh, One of the challenges for me was my situation with his mom, which kept me out of the house with him. Also, not speaking to him at
Mm.
all for maybe 5 years. So yeah, that was a big challenge for me. And as a man, you kind of get yourself prideful to a point where you be like, well, if he ain't gonna call me, I ain't gonna call him. I went through those steps, but also the integrity and man in me told me that you can't leave a black child out there and not try to do something for him.
Mhm.
So it just it wasn't in me to just not to just let it go to the wayside, and
Right.
that wasn't in me. So I kept trying and kept trying and kept trying. Between the age of, I would say, 14, 15, I didn't talk to him until
Mm.
he turned 18, 19.
Mhm.
And then we got a closer connection then.
Yeah.
But I think it was more because of maybe what he was being told and me not being able to come and get him at certain times, or going, being able to do certain things with him. I always want him to, if he got questions, I want you to ask me. I want him to ask me
Yeah.
so that I can tell you my side of the story.
Right.
So, and being a young child myself, I kind of went through that same thing. Um, and it didn't sit right with me to be able to do that to him.
Right.
So, I mean, I can't knock my father for the situation. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault. So, and I didn't know that until I got into my grown age.
Right.
So those was some of the challenges that
Yeah.
that I went through. But we're gonna slide on to the next question. Do you talk to your son or young black males about racism in America? And what advice do you give him or give him for dealing with discrimination?
Man, these are awesome questions today, ain't they, brothers? Ha ha. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
we got to challenge you guys.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things I think about, guys, off the top of my head is, first of all, is that you got to let them know it exists. or it may exist.
Right.
It may come up. So they can understand that. They need to know that's going to come up. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to understand your gifts or your talents or even agree with you. You got to have those conversations as needed, right? Especially in the workforce, because you know you can get fired pretty quick if you don't know how to respond properly. You can lose your
Right.
job one day. So you got to let them know up front that this may or may not happen, but also to give them the strength, to understand that they have the strength, that they don't have to react all the time to everything as well.
Right. Right.
That's the thing I had to learn, guys. I had to learn not to react on, hey, who you don't even know who you talking to right now. So you got to be able to hone that one in sometime, guys. So to be able to share that with our sons, guys, is so powerful to let them know not to always respond in a negative way, because sometimes justified, it seems, to go and knock the person out, right? Go and knock
Yeah.
them, right? But we can't do that, guys. So we got to be able to help our men, our young men, to understand how to basically, look at it from a different perspective, because most of the time people don't even know you, so you don't even know who I am. So we have to share that with our sons, that they don't know who you are. They don't know how powerful and how awesome you are, and how humble you are, and how gifted you are. So therefore, don't take it personally. That's the word I use, guys. Whatever comes up, don't take it personally, because they don't know who you are.
Mhm.
That's
Right.
just, that's just one way to handle it. Anyway,
Mm-hmm. Mr.
yeah.
Malum?
Yeah, I love what you just said, Mr. Vaughn, about there is a difference between responding and reacting. Um, and a reaction just keeps the circumstance going over and over again. Response lets you take a step back, similar to how Coach McNeil did, and say, okay, here's the situation. Let me think about it, and
Right.
now I can offer you love in this opportunity. And that, I think, that does apply to race as well, particularly how maybe my generation thought of race versus where my son's generation thought of race. And I
Yeah.
think about it as my parents were We Should Overcome. They marched with Martin, right, and read Malcolm and moved in that space. I
Yeah.
came up in the Fight the Power generation.
Right.
We're gonna come up and fight, so we still have Malcolm. So we were doing with the hat like we're gonna fight it. Our
Yeah.
kids now, are we are the power. They see themselves differently.
Right.
So we just have to be careful when we teach them race. It's more than just teaching them history, because that's what happened in the past. And by the way, that past goes beyond much further back than 1619.
Yeah.
So letting them know that they are the cradle of civilization, back to Kemet. And even when we want to teach religion, fine, but
Yeah.
let them know that their religion, that Jesus that they talk about went into Egypt. Egypt is actually in Africa. Moses came out of Egypt. Egypt is actually in Africa. And don't
Mhm.
let people separate that from our history, where we come from.
Yeah.
And then in terms of moving forward, be careful not to let the trauma of race that we've experienced to project onto them, because that's how that structure works. Brother Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery,
Yeah.
because none but ourselves can free our minds. And that's what we really have to begin doing. So they know their culture and who they are without having the limitations projected on them
Mhm. Yeah.
about
Right.
race. And that goes even, this one more word, like even back to when we start talking about the N word, just look at the history of that. If you take it back, we usually stop at, oh man, this is what the white man called you. And that's the last time someone heard before they were lynched. And that's a powerful message. But
Mhm.
take it back to the origins of time. Because
Mhm.
in Amharic, which is one of the original languages spoken still current day Ethiopia, Negus means king. So this really educating, instead of trying to stop them from one path, let's start steering them back, you know, to where they've really come from, and then that can help them see the context of who they are, so they know where they're going.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. That's good, bro.
Yeah. Mr. Hawkins?
Um, this one's kind of
Yeah.
different for me because we used to live in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I lived there a year and left.
Mm.
My kids was small. So
Mhm.
they didn't get the feel of what that feels for me or for us historically.
Yeah.
My struggle with my kids right now has everything to do around these policies of transgender, non-binary. You know, my 8-year-old daughter's confused why kids are in school and being treated like a little animal rather than a actual human being.
Yeah.
Or my son having to deal with um, adults that are allowing or sanctioning things that kids shouldn't be involved with.
Right.
That's the navigation that
Yeah.
um, I navigate with my children more so than just purely, racial things. I mean, we're in Atlanta. That's one of the things that I moved my family down here for is we have a plethora of Black success
Yep.
stories, and everywhere you look, everywhere we go, they're surrounded by excellence in the Black community.
Mhm.
Um, my circle of, I was just bragging Kion last night, man. I have an awesome, awesome circle of fellas who at any time, just for just life situations, I can count on and call.
Yeah.
And my children know them dearly, and my children know them intimately. And they don't, they, I don't, I would like to be naive and say that they don't worry about the racial things, but it's more of the policies that affect adult issues
Mm-hmm.
that my children deal with and that I try to navigate as their parent,
Yeah.
and ensuring that um the things that we practice and the beliefs that we have stay instilled in them, and not allowing society to pour anything into them that don't belong there. Being knowledgeable enough to answer their questions
Yeah.
in a way to make them comfortable, but still letting them know that, hey, you live on a certain foundation, and this is the foundation of this household, regardless of what anybody has to say outside of these walls. So that's the navigation that, I work with and ensure that, I instill,
Yeah.
especially in my son. My daughter, uh, you know, as she gets older, I will grab her and, ensure that she knows. And the best thing that I found myself doing that helps, I love their mother. I
Yeah.
showed them how much I love and appreciate their mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I do those things in front of them so that they can see that example of, this is a man and a woman's dynamic, and this is how God created that. This is how it's supposed to look. This is how it's supposed to be. And now in these last two, it's so genuine. Like, that's the importance of, making sure that you are structurally together. Your heart's not full of envy, strife, and things of that sort. So that way you can love, so you can show love. My kids know what that looks like in our house. They know when they see it anywhere else, but they know what it looks like when it doesn't match either. And they have those questions, and you have to answer those questions. And I want to answer them to the point where I'm not just saying, oh, don't pay that. No, this is what's happening. This is why they're making these decisions. But this is how we live our lives. This is how,
Right.
this is a reflection of what our family is doing. And
Mm-hmm.
when you see it, this is how you address it. And if you're uncomfortable with it, stay away from it. Uh, come,
Yeah.
so
That's good. Good.
All right, Mr. McNeil, I know you don't have any kids, but what would you do in that situation?
So for me, man, I coached at Gresham Park, took my team to the Frank Ski Bowl, and we lost. And I didn't like the way some things went down, so I asked God to move me to another place, and I wound up going up to the perimeter area, coaching at a place where it's mostly white. And then he led me from that part to an actual high school in the perimeter area. And then I got to see the kids coming from the Sandtown area, Westlake, going to a school which, you know, better off educational, better opportunities, international baccalaureate school, you know, so most of the kids are graduating, going to college, and those parents are sacrificing getting their kids there.
Yeah.
The indifference that they would receive in this place, having to explain that to them, right? And then as well as your conduct or who you are as a person was important. You know, okay, the indifference is because of this. This is
Yeah.
why so and so and Tommy went to Target and was shoplifting, and Tommy didn't get anything, but so and so is being prosecuted. Here's the reason why, right? But then as the other part of that is your integrity and who do you want to be as a person, right? Who do you want to be? Now, that's a choice to go into Target and shoplift, but who do you want to be as a person, right? You know, and being able to explain that. And then what happens with that is you have other discussions because now they want to know more
Yeah.
about, okay, well, who are we as a people, right? Then now I can now tell you who here, look at where we come from. Look at this, right? And so again, they come to you with the questions. I love putting it in the air and then letting the questions come back, right? Instead of you preach, right? Let me give you this nugget. And if you decide to come back and we conversate about it, cool. And even if you don't, you know what I'm saying? But for me, it was indifference. Having to explain, here's why do you have this indifference here? And then who do you want to be? Because it's all about your actions. You go out and rob a bank and you get caught, you robbed the bank. You robbed a bank, bro. What you went to Target, you went shoplifting. Why? You did that. No, not no mama, your dad, no. So now your actions, who do you want to be? So when that's how I dealt with that when I was in that area. So that's how I dealt with that situation.
Okay. Now I do have a question for the audience. We will get to a Q&A, but this is a quick question that I wanted to uh, talk about real quick. Is basically when the man is not in the household, how does that affect you as a father? Um, and anyone in the chat, y'all can chime in whenever y'all want to, and we can go ahead and address your answer to the question. But I know some of the men are in the home with their child. Um, how would that affect you if you were not in the home?
Yeah,
Well,
it'd be well, from based on my personality, man, that'd be rough, man. I'd be working on that every day, trying to get that fixed as much as possible. So yeah, the goal is to be able to solve that issue or that problem, so you can be involved with your son, regardless of the situation. Somehow that's got to be fixed, you know, and that's going to probably take a lot of effort to do it because there's so many factors. I always have to say negative factors that can hold you back, and we know what those are, guys. But that would be something I have to work on every day, guys, to make sure that gets resolved because you know, I wasn't raised like that, especially when you weren't raised like that, right? Wasn't raised without a dad. So you'd obviously want to be in your son's life as much as you can. And then when you see other families like that, you try to do the best you can too through mentoring programs, coaching, like the guys are here, teaching and training. You know, as you know, right now we're missing a lot of male teachers in our educational system. So whatever I could do to help out, you know, whether it's a business or a nonprofit or something to help our young men, that has to be considered as well. But yeah, the biggest thing is I would be fighting it to get back, uh, fighting properly. I have to say that you got to be real correct today, fighting properly in the system to get back into my son's life, if that was the case, you know.
okay. So we do have a person in the chat that says that well, actually my father is on the line on the chat right now. So
Yeah,
uh he says that it's really hard because back then I didn't have any of the resources that's in place now.
right. Yeah.
So Um, Same here. I mean, there was resources when my son was born, and there was a lot of things that I tried to do myself.
Right.
So I tried to go and put myself on child support when he was about 5 months. They wouldn't let me.
Mm.
So without them letting me,
Wow.
I'm trying to keep my receipts and stuff like that. So I moved from a certain area and lost the receipts.
Wow.
So then she took me to court for child support, and they put me in the rearage for $5,000
Right.
for just a couple months.
Right.
So and plus I was doing, giving them money on the side. Now that's the if there's any young people on this chat right now,
Right.
do not ever give the woman if y'all can't gel as a couple and y'all got to go separate ways, do not ever give her cash. Make sure whatever you got, it has a receipt to it. Whenever you give her any type of money, like a money order, a check,
Mhm.
even now they got Cash App, so it tells you what
Yeah.
the money is for.
Yeah.
So and keep your receipts because you'll be in a rearage. They'll slap you with that
Yeah.
real money real quick.
Yep.
So it actually it's the most hurtful process through that type of situation. You not being in the house with your child, you don't know who she's bringing around. Don't know whether that person is a good person or a bad person to your child, whether they
Yeah.
putting hands on your child or teaching your child how to mistreat a woman. And
Yeah.
you just got to hope for the best, but it's always a hurtful thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hey, fellas, I actually had the opportunity to have a friend who went through a divorce, and what you said is exactly true. From the
Yeah.
process of when they separated, the divorce and ongoing, he kept every receipt for what he did for his son, every receipt, taking him to the doctor. He kept every receipt. And when she tried to come at him for more money,
Whew.
he took that folder to the court, and the
Mhm.
judge was like, wait a minute, hold on, wait, you did this,
Yeah.
you you did this. Hold on, let me go to my chambers. And when he came back, he said, I'm sorry, man, but you owe this man $16,000. So if that's one of the things that you keep, hey man, tell every dude who is taking care, no more cash, no, no, no,
No,
no.
not at all.
Time that she gets upset, you marry some other woman who's better looking than she is, or oh, I'm taking you to child support now. Document everything, and like we should know, like well, like we all know as older men, right? You document everything, you handle things like business.
Yeah.
That is kind of like a business.
Right.
It
Right.
is.
You
Yeah.
It
know,
is.
you're right, bro. Make sure we tell those young brothers who going through that, man, keep all your receipts, keep them
Yeah.
all.
You got to. You got to.
Absolutely.
I want to be sure we speak to the that's not how it's supposed to be though.
It's not.
So
Right.
if you can do anything, strengthen the relationship to try to keep things from going in that dynamic,
Mhm.
or just plainly keep yourself under control and don't be out here creating kids with people you know you don't want to
Yeah.
be with. We should make sure to say that part as well.
Yeah.
Well,
Because the
to,
system don't care. I don't want to put my business out there,
Right.
but I was on child support while living in the house with my my children and their mother. So the system does not care.
no.
It was just as simple as the fact of the matter, our kids needed health insurance. And the only way to get health insurance was for me to be on child support. Made absolutely no sense.
Right.
And
So
they
again, that system is not set up to
Yeah.
bring families together, is not set up to resolve anything. It's
Mhm.
been abused. It need to be overhauled and redone.
Yeah.
There's stuff that needs to be put in place,
Yeah.
but the basic the foundation of it is, and we spoke to it a little bit earlier,
Mhm.
fellas, if you're not going to humble yourself,
Yeah.
as coach said,
Yeah.
if you're not going to work on yourself, as Mr. Vaughn said, then those are the things that you shouldn't be bringing to the table to create life.
Right. You now, I'm not saying it to be, spiteful of any of that. I know that you're supposed to work on yourself. You're supposed to learn who the person is that you're being with, and that you feel like you want to lay down and make a child with. You're supposed to know that, but sometimes you get the wool over your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you feel like you in love with this person, and this person loves you, but then it's also the fact that people could be putting on facades,
Right.
and
Yes.
and the fact that
Yeah.
she may love you, so she may want to make sure you don't go to this other place or this other woman,
Yeah.
and you're protecting yourself, and somehow it pops or breaks. There's situations on both sides,
Right. Right.
and bad things happen sometimes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you still got to take care of your child,
Right.
regardless of what it is. You got to still take care of your child.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. That's good, guy. Yeah, I was just thinking, guys, while you was talking, you know what? That's why it's so important that today we got to pay attention to our young men.
yeah,
And if they let us engage, by asking a few questions. I always ask the brothers, how you doing? And if they respond, we talk a little while. But it's so important that we ask how they're really doing, and if they need a little help, or if they need some counsel. Once you develop a relationship, that's why it's important for us to ask those questions today, guys, because they don't know what to do. I didn't know
right,
what to do. I saw stuff,
right,
but I really didn't know what to do. And nobody gives you a manual on how to take care of your family properly. Nobody does that.
right.
you know, so we got to help our young men out there, guys, as we go around the city and whatever we do. We just got to ask them, hey, do you need a little help, or do you have any questions about your family? Just kind of engage as much as possible, and then hopefully bring them in where you can counsel them confidentially and talk to them. But they just don't know. They want to know. There's a lot of great brothers out there. They just don't know what to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
Mr. Mellon?
Yeah, I'm listening to this and I'm feeling encouraged and disturbed at the same time. It's a powerful conversation. I think my three big points are this. We do need to teach our brothers, you're not making love, you're making life. Cherish that scenario.
yeah.
It's in our culture right now. It's not something that we created, it was given to us. You understand, I think it's called the Hawkins laws, where you think about in England, when a king had a son, the son inherits things. But
Mm-hmm.
then when that man from England brought that African woman and raped her and made a child, and that child was the son,
Yeah.
they couldn't have the son inheriting the plantation.
All right.
So then now you have to then reduce that human being, that black body, to an animal.
Mm.
And once you reduce them to an animal, now you follow the laws of animals, where as the mother is, so is the child. So she's a slave for life, chattel slavery, treated like an animal. Then that child is now treated like an animal and is a slave for life, male or female.
Yeah.
So now we have a degendering going on within the slave dynamic, because she's picking as much cotton as he is, by the way. And she's doing it with something on her back, a baby on her back at the same time. And now we create breeding because that class, right, that man is
Yeah.
now enriched. He's enriched by making babies. Let's be really clear. Brothers throw around the word motherfucker all the time, not understanding that when that child had to rape that mother to make another child for them, that's where that's coming from. So we need to understand our full history and how we're moving and why we're doing what we're doing,
Yeah.
and what's breaking up our families. And then as men, Mr. Hawkins, you said something really powerful. The most powerful thing you can do for your son is to love the mother.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to love the mother from a distance. It is best and ideal to this day. You can make up any rule you want to make up, to be married before you decide to go ahead and make a child
Yeah,
for yourself, the woman, and the child. If you're married and you had divorced, then it's best that you co-parent
Right.
and still show love to that woman, even if she's not showing love back to you. That's that Jesus thing y'all keep talking about.
Yeah.
If you go ahead and make a child out of wedlock, then be
Right.
a man and live with the circumstances of that. You lay down with someone you weren't married with, there's a child born, and this person's acting like this and acting like that. Maybe marriage will help sort that out. And now, how do you do the best you can to love that mother as you're taking care of that child? Because what we're doing is we're breaking intergenerational trauma.
Yeah.
So every time somebody says, "Oh, I had a baby," and I'm like this, I can point to their daddy. Their daddy had it. Their daddy had it. We can stop that, and we can break that, and we can make this better for our future.
Yeah.
And help each other in that scenario. So it's important, man. I mean,
Yeah, man.
I get sad when I hear these songs because it used to be the
Yeah.
Supremes, you know, and
Yeah.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
And then it was like bitches with attitude and like, what's going on now? And every single song I hear that some man's calling himself little or baby.
Right.
And it's reductive of themselves and how they show up.
Right.
And then now you got babies making babies. And if it's all about how much money you have,
Right.
that's not who we are.
That's
Right.
it, man. That is it.
Yeah. That's it.
Now keep going with that, Malum.
Yeah. That's a
You
I'm
own
saying,
that
man,
one.
that's so.
Yeah.
So we stop fighting over the money part and start really
Right.
fighting for how can we be constructive,
Yeah.
involved. Look,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I was dating someone for 5 years, was married for 16 years. We got divorced. The
Yeah.
first year was rough. I wasn't tell you it wasn't perfect, but I'll tell you this: that queen stands 10 toes down to help her raise her son, and I stand 10 toes down to help raise our sons as well. And we work together. It doesn't always
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
There are financial pieces
Right.
like this, but
Yeah.
you start learning things like emotional intelligence. You start getting the counseling that you need to get.
Yeah.
You start acting more like a man and standing up for it. If it doesn't feel good, it's
Right.
okay.
Right.
Let's stop confusing love with attachment, man. Let's
Right.
stop that.
Yeah. That's
Love is
powerful.
an action, it's a verb.
Yeah.
So when you men dealing with women that aren't giving you a hard time, stop complaining about it. That's not going to change it. It's going to traumatize your child.
Yeah.
Just
it,
deal
man.
with the circumstance and respond to it. Give what you can, learn what you can, and show love. It's
Yeah.
not enough. I'll say this before I close. It's not enough just to say, "Oh, I'm never going to talk bad about her." Talk good about her. Find something great
Right.
about her.
Right.
Your child cannot make it as a black child in this world with 50% of them feeling less than.
Right. Yeah. That's your mother.
And
That's
wherever
your
you
mom.
think about that mother, that's correct. That's the port by which that child came into the world. That's enough to love her by.
Yeah.
And let's
Absolutely.
grow up and be men.
Yeah. Absolutely. In fact, that's a whole other topic right there, guys, because we were talking about this
Yeah.
weeks ago. The goal for us is to protect the family.
Yeah.
That's our goal.
Yeah. And protection is psychological safety, Mr. Vaughn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
psychological safety. It's not just comfort. There's learning, there's
Yep.
growth. That's how
Yep.
we do it.
Absolutely. And I tell you, guys, that's a great area that we got to grow in. I'm still learning that. The goal is to protect the family. Guess what, guys? It's on me to make that happen. It's nobody else's job to do that.
That's right.
Right.
My
Yes.
responsibility. So I
If you
can't.
had to kick the butt of the person, you had to kick the butt of the person most responsible for the hardship you're going through, you
Right.
wouldn't sit for a week.
Right.
Stand on that. Show some
Right.
accountability.
That's right.
I love what Mr. Hawkins said. Loving his wife or the mother of your child is the best thing you
Right.
can do for the child.
That's exactly right, sir. Absolutely. Yeah, because because we only got one mom and one dad, so you got the children thinking, well, wait a minute, I'm who's who here? Because they're torn between mom and they love mom and dad, but they can't be torn between the two of them. That's not
Right.
good. So
And
yeah, we
see,
got to
and
recognize.
Stop driving your children into your adult problems.
Yeah, exactly.
see, in my situation, I never talk bad about his mom. Never.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Do
to
you
me,
talk good about it?
Yeah.
I sometimes try to stay away from talking about it at all. And that's wrong by me. That's wrong by me. I had, like you said, kicked myself in the butt because, I didn't really, I tried not to talk about it because I know that if I would have talked about it, I would have said something that probably would have tainted his mind towards his mom. I didn't want that.
Right.
I wanted him to gather his own thoughts,
Yeah.
see from both sides, and be the man that you're going to be.
Yeah.
So I never talked bad about her. I barely talked about her. When he came around, we just I just cherished the time that I had with him because there wasn't many of those times until he got older. So and when he was younger, the times that he would come around, we have our fun. We go spend some time with family and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was the type of person that I wouldn't even let him, spend time with other family members other than without me, because I wanted to suck up every bit of his time that I could, because I wasn't sure when the next time was going to be.
Yeah.
So it was many a nights that I would just sit there while he's sleeping and just watch him,
Yeah.
because I knew that that next day or that next couple of days I wasn't going to be able to see him. He was going back to his mom or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Um, and again, yes, I should have said some positive things about her to him, but I just wanted my time.
Right.
So
You did the best you could, Mr. Pan. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not a critique of you doing the best you can. One thing we can do is the difference between guilt and shame. And
Mhm.
Mr. Vaughn, I think you've spoken that before when we were talking about the mental health thing. I watched that Zoom. But, guilt is I could do better, and shame is I'm bad. There's nothing
Mhm.
bad about you.
Right.
We have to watch that should word because it's a shame word. We don't want to should all over ourselves.
Right.
And then we just do the best we can, but it's just intergenerational. So your child already has a child already young, right? So
mhm,
how do we stop then that child from then making another child again and start putting back the family and start getting us back to marriage,
right,
commitment, right? How do we start building that back to each other? Because it's not our fault why it happened, but we are accountable for changing our circumstance and we have the power to do it. Because the one thing I want you to know, no matter how big your problem is, Kyle, I just want you to notice right now, the God in you is bigger than the problems outside of you.
Speak.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Greater is he.
Yeah.
In you,
Yeah.
Then, yep.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
this world.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yes,
And and
sir.
and and teach your children that, brother.
Yes,
Teach them.
sir.
It's tough, but I got it. Sometimes I have to get on my knees. Sometimes I may have to cry. That's
Yeah.
the other thing too. They taught us not to show emotion. Show
Mm-mm.
emotion to your children. I
Mm-mm.
love you. I get sad sometimes. Things are tough sometimes.
Yeah.
And then pick yourself up and then put together a plan. How do we move from here prospectively? You keep stirring those shit, you make it stink again. Let's work on what's going new to help make things better.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, he's a healer, brother. He'll have you healed.
Yep.
He'll have her healed, and he'll have y'all be able to talk to each other. I'm not saying he'll be able to go out and date and love and everything like that, but you'll be able to have a general conversation with another being because he can change hearts.
Right.
You teach your children that.
Yep.
Yeah. That's good.
That's how
Yeah,
you protect them. Let them know that the protector
Yeah.
is the most high. That's how you protect
Absolutely.
them.
Amen. Absolutely. Absolutely.
so we're gonna slide on to another question.
We already there.
Yeah, it's already over. What conversations, if any, do you have when it comes to being vulnerable and mental health with your son?
Malcolm, you might as well keep going. You are
Yeah.
already there.
Get the counseling we need. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Let's get the counseling we need, brothers.
Yeah.
If you're Black in America, I'm telling you, the statistics show that you experience trauma and you need at least one week of counseling for a year.
Mm.
Get the help you need. Build working with other brothers to build together, to help support each other, and be willing to share those feelings and those struggles. When those ouches happen to you, look if it opens up in you and heal yourself.
Yeah.
That's so important, man. And
Yeah.
brothers, we can show love and tears and show courage at the same time.
Right. Exactly. That's powerful, man. Yeah, I was just thinking, guys, as it relates for my household, as it relates to the son in the area. First of all, you got to be vulnerable, right? Be vulnerable,
Mhm.
be yourself, if you will.
Mhm.
Also, too, now because my son's older, he's a little older now, but you can ask him questions about a certain topic that's happening in the home. You
Yeah.
know, get him involved as well in the family dynamic if he's old enough, of course. But you want to get your son involved as well in that conversation. And like you said, man, just be real. You know, if there's some heated stuff going on in the family, and it could be at any level of the family, you know, y'all talk about it. Let's talk about that and see what he feels about that as well. It could be mama and them, it could be grandma and them, it could be auntie and them, uncle and them, could be some cousins he don't like. You know, we need to talk about some of this stuff. You know, so
Yeah.
all the above, it has to be discussed. I think communication is being is a very good part of that too, guys. Just communicating the challenges that I may be having, and then sharing that with your son. You know, within reason, of course, and within the right age group as well. But you want to be able to let your son know, hey, I'm human too, and I'm having some challenges in this area. What you think about this? Or if he can't do it, you know, can't talk to him, you got to go and get some help, as the brother mentioned as well. So don't be afraid to get outside professional help, and also
Mhm.
have some mentors around your life too that can help you as well, and coaches too as well.
And I'm
Well,
telling you,
good.
that's the biggest thing that I found with the youth, because they're so informed now.
Yeah,
If
buddy.
you're authentic and
Mhm.
vulnerable with them,
Right.
Yep.
They'll
wasn't
call you
likely
out, won't they, coach? They'll call you out.
let me tell you something. I had my first, like, one of my nephews came to me and had broke up with his girlfriend. He was like, "Oh, she did this," and I let him get it all out. And I
Right.
was like, "Man, my freshman year at Morehouse, this girl had me. And they told me she wasn't no good, but I jumped in
Right.
there for her. Let me tell
Right.
you, when she left me, I was on the floor curled up listening to House is Not a Home by Luther Vandross. He said, "For real, Unc?" Boy, I was curled up like a little baby, just crying. When you bring that to them, you know what I'm saying? I
Exactly.
got a nephew now that got into some trouble with some stuff, and I was telling him when I got into some trouble and I had some on my record, how I had to be a janitor. Then from
Yeah.
a janitor, I clean offices. From offices, I was cooking in the back of Red Lobster. It ain't gonna come overnight, dog.
Right.
Which that thing that
Mhm.
you just did, you gonna have to pay the repercussions of that,
Yep.
right? And so being able to get in there, I heard a guy tell the story like this. This guy fell in a hole and he was asking people for help, and people walked by and they look, "I can't help you, I can't help you, I can't
Yeah.
help you." And then this guy come by and he says, "Yeah, I'm in the hole," and the dude jumped down in the hole with him. And he said, "Hey man, what you doing? You done jump down the hole with us. How we gonna get out?" He said, "I done been in this hole before. I'm gonna show you how to get out."
Wow.
Wow.
Come on.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
That's good.
let's be
Love
vulnerable.
that.
Let's be authentic with them, y'all. Yeah.
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 Boy,
Preach, coach. Preach.
Yeah.
fellas, y'all dropping so many gems today. I'm telling you, my bag gonna be full Monday, boy.
Yeah,
They
buddy.
ain't gonna, boy. I got my hat on backwards. I'm jumping in holes, boy.
Yep.
They ain't gonna know what hit them. But no, it does go back to what Mr. Vaughn was saying about your vulnerability. You know, I was reading something, and it was right around the topic of
Yeah.
self-empowerment and bettering
Yeah.
yourself as a man.
Right.
And as you go through these healing journeys, you may sit with people you may have wronged in the past, or you're trying to find some way to self-reflect and do all these things to work on yourself. And one of the main audiences that do get left out are your children.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so last year I challenged myself, and I it couldn't have made a better decision. I spend days with my kids, just me and them. So individually, I'll take my daughter to lunch. I'll take my son, well, both of them now. Uh, the 5-year-old now, he jumping in the barber chair now to get his little hair lined up.
Yeah.
But we go and spend the whole day. Hey, what is something you want to do
Yeah.
today?
Yeah.
This is your day with me. What do you want to do? No matter what it is,
Right.
see, that's that structure. But then here's the dynamic and the vulnerability. Now you're having those one-on-one conversations. And I ask my kids as well as my wife in those one-on-ones,
Mm-hmm.
what is something I need to do better? And my son, you talk about the vulnerability, he told me, I just want this more. And it just broke me
Yeah.
down, because it's like,
Yeah.
that's something I never got the opportunity
Right.
to tell any male figure. I just
Right.
want more time with you.
Right. Yeah.
This is enough. So if
Yeah.
we can do this, I'm good. And
Yeah.
so The crazy part is
That's
we
great.
do basketball together. I formed a gaming community around him,
Yeah.
but that's stuff to do. No, I just want to be here.
Right.
I want to be here. I want to talk. I want to tell you about, the stuff I like and my friends and what we're
Yeah.
talking about. And I don't want no dad, opinion. I just want you to hear what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's
You
good.
know what, son? Let's do it.
Yeah.
What we eating, what we drinking, where we going. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
And we next month is, but then it got us on the areas of the things that are concerning to them. And my daughter specifically, she has a big heart. She loves helping people. Now, for the past, 4 or 5 months,
Yeah.
we've been going out and feeding homeless.
Mhm.
We didn't implemented a program inside of the charity now where we are getting clothes donated and
Right.
hygiene products. October 5th, we're going out there. It's her. It's her. It started with my wife, of course. My wife is an evangelist, but
Mhm.
now that spills over into our children.
Right.
I want to take care. These people shouldn't be out here. It's bothering me. What can I do? Well, baby, we can take small steps, and
Yep.
this is what we can do.
Yep.
So that's that vulnerable part that
Yeah.
says, hey, how do you deal with this as a man? You gotta know what you're combating. And it starts with that communication of, from your perspective, what do I need to do better? How can I better help you? And then really be genuine about doing it.
Yeah, that's
That's
it.
the other, that's the hugest part.
Yep. That's the
Because
key.
now I got goals. I have real goals that
Yeah.
say they've asked this of me. I have to get it done.
Yeah, that's powerful, man.
Good answers, fellas. Good answers.
Man, this is awesome. Kion, look, I almost missed this. I'm gonna tell the story at the end. I'm gonna save it.
All right. Well, you go ahead and say that because if you missed it, I'm gonna have to do something. Now, so with the growing influences of negative music to the youth, what do you do to keep them positive and doing positive things?
I'm gonna kick this one off because as Kion know, that's part of our history.
Mhm.
Part of me and his history is we ran he's sits on the board of my nonprofit organization,
Yeah.
and we champion
Yeah.
positive engagement through the social context for youth and young adults, which means your media and the things that you come to us to do is not full of that. And while in Illinois, I took a very big stance against anything that had anything to do with young people and the uh, even the appearance of them doing anything with a negative connotation
Right.
in music and media.
Yeah.
And the program was amazing. Here in Atlanta, though, it's a little challenging because we're in a bubble of what's popping.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're in that area of it's hard to understand, as rich in talent and rich in resources
Yeah.
as Atlanta is. There's not enough circles that say, well, this is not for this audience.
Right.
There's enough perpetrating of violence and derogatory things out here in the media, especially for youth and young adults, that, okay, let's have a section in a pocket over here that just caters to this. It don't have to be gospel.
Right.
You just gotta watch your mouth.
Right.
Just plain and simple. Just be in the context of kids. But then the problem is we're so far removed from that filter button. A PG or R-rated thing don't even mean nothing no more.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what the problem is. Society didn't just went ahead and toss those parental guidance things
Yeah.
aside.
Yeah.
Kids have the exact same access to social resources as adults do. And there's nobody sitting with these kids explaining that, hey, this is
Right. Right.
not what your entertainment should be.
Right. Yeah.
And so I challenge men, I challenge grown men all the time. If you're around a group of young men and
Yeah.
your mouth is just as foul as they are, you're not helping nothing. I don't care how old you are,
Yeah.
because they're looking at you and you set the tone for that. You could talk to a group of young men as passionate and as strong as you want, 14, 15 years old. As a grown man, you have self-control, or you should. There's no need for the profanity in that setting.
Right.
Now, if we hanging out, we men, we boy, we're doing what we do, but in the context of what you give to another person's child, regardless of what's
Right.
happening in their home,
Mhm.
I feel that any man in that position should be able to have that self-control where
Yeah.
get your point across.
Yeah.
The using the context of profanity and anything that would support their ideas of misogynistic, or you're supposed to put that to bed. You don't supposed
Yeah.
to entice or reinforce that thinking. That's childish thinking.
Right.
And so that's where my stance is at. I'm adamant and I'm vocal about those things,
Yeah.
because they don't change without somebody being an example of that. They don't change without someone ruffling feathers in circles of just adults that should know better,
Yeah.
that are in position to do better.
Yeah.
Right.
That's highly important, man. The leadership qualities that we have around those things, we need better examples of it.
Absolutely.
Young Thug and ASAP and all those guys, they can't continue to be the example of our children.
Right.
I try my best to filter my kids out from anything
Yeah.
out there that has no context that a kid should be involved in. My kids, we could be riding down the street, somebody blasting their music. Dad, cut up the windows. Yep, you right. You right. And it could be a song that I like, but I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I keep my kids in a kid space. And if more people recognize that and actually practice it, don't just sit there and, yeah, you're right. Actively do it. We had a movement called Face the Music. And that's what it was really about. It was really about trying to put a filter between the
Mhm.
mediums that our children have access to, where they can bring in that.
Right. That's
And
good.
so now, if we could change that paradigm some way, if we could change that mindset, we get kids able to now be kids again. We
Right.
get teenagers being able to be teenagers are supposed to be happy.
Right.
They supposed to be running around here excited, whether it's about sports or the stuff that they're learning, about the things that they're going. They ain't supposed to be inundated with a bunch of, oh my God.
Right.
I look at some of these young men, they just as dead as 40-year-old men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
but
sorry. That's my bad, guys. I'm sorry.
how good.
That's good. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're talking real talk there, man.
Hey fellas, I'm gonna get in because I have to get ready to run. But man, coming in where you at. So my experience, man, I fell in love with jazz, and then
Yeah.
I read research on jazz and how jazz got started and everything like that. And if you understand music, right? So back in the 20s, the parents didn't like their music, right? And so in the 50s, they didn't like their music. And when Motown and them came around, the parents didn't. And I remember when I told my dad came to me and said, LL Cool J can't live without my radio. My dad came, who in the hell can't live without radio? That don't
Right.
make no sense to me. You
Right.
can't live without no. So you understand, right? So that's
Right.
their
Right.
thing. So my
Right.
first experience, I'm dropped into Carver Homes.
Right.
Dropped into Carver Homes to
Yeah.
teach, work with kids, right?
Right.
And I can come in here and dictate this project area like I'm gonna come in, but like the scriptures say, you be the light, you be the
Right.
salt, right? And so we come in, and so now what I learned from all of that was, hey fellas, I'm cool with y'all music, but let me get it without the cuss words. And
Yeah.
then if we have a dialogue conversation about, okay, now do you really think somebody who's gonna shoot up something gonna be out here? Let's think about this now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Yeah.
then here's what I've been telling kids this for about the last 5 or 6 years. And I don't know why. Snoop's lane is his lane. But that's Snoop's lane. That ain't my lane. I can't do what Snoop do.
Right.
All you gotta do is look at your productivity. Can you
Right.
do what Snoop do and still get paid? No, that's not your lane.
Right.
So find your lane. And so with music, I always tell them, and I like when I see us, man, what is that? Oh yeah, that's got a good beat. Let me get it without the cuss words. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And they understand, they know now, okay,
Right.
coach want this without the cuss words. So we
Right.
get, coach, we got a playlist, we got all our songs that ain't got the cuss. As long as they got the cussing in it, we good, right?
Right.
And so it's letting them still have their generation,
Right.
have music, right? Because I ain't gonna never forget when I was listening to I Can't Live Without My Radio. My dad said, what? Can't live without no radio. Tell me who can't live. That don't make no sense to me. But
Right.
I can't live without a radio.
Yeah. That's right.
You know, and what I love now is when I come on the practice field and I might go with the EPMD, praying like a pray like a fox in action. I smell blood, no time for Max and camouflage in the green. My back is up. Plus I'm in trouble because it's after and the kids like, oh, you can rap, coach? You can. Nah, man, that's EPMD, bro.
Exactly.
Man, I just wanted to share that, man. Gotta let the kids have theirs. We got ours.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about the parents who's upset when afros came out.
Yeah,
Why are
exactly.
you wearing your hair like that? What are they going on? That's theirs. Let
Yep.
them have that, right?
Yep.
So anyway, man, hey, Kim, everybody, man, I always love chopping it up with y'all. I got it, man, can't wait to do this again. Love you, brothers. And one of the things I always like to say, man, be good to yourself.
That's it.
That's all right, Doc.
All right,
All
coach.
right, Mr. McNeil.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of wind this thing down. I want to get your final thoughts from each one of you. What's your thoughts on the conversation today?
Yeah.
And then also what's one thing that you will take from this conversation and implement it into your life?
Yeah, great question, Keon. I love that, man. I guess today is communication, right? Talking.
Yeah.
It's very important, guys. The sharing that we're doing today, and for the brothers listening as well, the young men listening as well. It's so important to talk to other men that have like minds and that have a vision for their life and for their family as well. So if I could say one word, Keon, would be communication, man. Be able to talk. That's what the Men Let's Talk Network is all about. We got to talk more.
That's it.
All right, Mr. Hawkins.
Man, this was amazing, brother.
Yeah,
And
great. Good
you
session.
already know
Yeah.
anything that you putting together, anything that you and the wife touches, bro, has been excellent. It has been top notch. I can't say enough about how you guys,
Yeah, great.
just continue to raise y'all own bar
Yeah.
with these things. And so I'm always honored and thankful. I don't take our friendships and our relationships for granted because
Yeah.
what you're doing is key. What
Yeah.
you're doing is highly important and it's near and dear to so many guys that's out here. I champion what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
I look forward to helping you guys elevate what you're doing.
Yep.
Conversations like this needs to be platformed and out in the forefront in all that we do. Please send links. Let's coordinate ways of attacking social media
Yeah.
with these type of topics. And anytime y'all need anything, bro, you already know I'm right here. So
Gotcha. So what's the one thing that you're gonna take from, at least one thing? I'll say it like that. At least one.
oh, bro, I got, man, look,
Yeah, got a
I'm
whole
getting
list
this
over there.
recording. I got a list of like 10 things. These brothers, number one, y'all done put together an excellent panel. Not only are you guys knowledgeable and well spoken, but you got some gems, fellas. This is a culmination of a whole lot of living life. So
Yeah.
just continually thankful to hear the viewpoints and the stuff that you guys bring to your lives. And it does spill over into being able to adapt a lot of these things and thinking of things in a different way. So I got a bunch of gems I'm taking. I'm finna go get me a hat right now. I'm telling you. You know, I got a lot to take away from this, bro. This was excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. And Mr. Malum?
I want to co-sign Mr. Hawkins, and I also love as well what Mr. Bond had to say about the hat backwards. I think that's a big thing for us to think about.
Yeah.
I feel encouraged to be in a panel with the brothers that we don't have to be like-minded, we don't have to all agree, but you know, it's counter to the stereotype. You know, we heard about love and connection and doing our best and fighting to be a parent.
Mhm.
That's just what the media says about us. So I'm happy that this is there to
Yeah.
join the conversation, to add to the ethos, if you will. And then the last thing I would leave with is let's educate ourselves. There's some great books out there written by some powerful brothers. One that comes to mind right now is My Grandmother's Hands. It's Rashima Menachem, I think is his name. It's called My Grandmother's Hands.
Mm.
We all know what that experience is like, the grandma's hands.
Right.
And then so let's educate ourselves that there are things out there that can help us through these challenges that we're facing in terms of parenting, co-parenting, uh, absentee parenting, being included, not included. There are ways around that. So thank you for the opportunity to share some thoughts with you.
So there's as everyone said, there's many things that I'm going to take into my life and use to better me as a person, one, and to make sure that I'm giving that next young male the correct way of
Right.
doing things.
Yep.
Hopefully, you know, because our correct way could be different from their correct way, but I can give you the knowledge that I have on certain situations, and to also, you know, try to bring them up into thinking that I can just use that word, those two words.
Yeah.
I can,
Mhm.
regardless of what the situation is. I can.
Yep.
If you put your mind to it and you put your mind to it the correct way and know in within yourself
Yeah.
that I can do this, it can be done.
Yep.
All right. So now we're going to go ahead and how can we connect with you? So if some of the audience members wanted to know how can they connect with you, how could they connect with you?
Thank you so much, Keon. Real quick, for those listening all across the globe there, hey, the quickest way, 3 ways is go to the website, actually MLT Networks, mltnetworks.net. That'll get you started on the website, guys. Also, too, feel free to call and text me or call and leave a message at 404-401-0233. That's 404-401-0233. And last but not least is email menletstalk@gmail.com, menletstalk@gmail.com, and Kevin Vaughn, CEO and founder. Thank you so much, Brother Keon, brothers.
Definitely. Mr. Hawkins?
You can reach us at Taoni org on all social medias, TAONIORG on all social media.
So to connect with me, you can go under social media, DJ_talented #1. As well as you can go on terradomeentertainment.com, the website. And fellas, any final words?
Hey, real quick, guys, I wrote down some final thoughts, guys. Always get the why we do this. I want to leave
Nice.
that with you guys today. Always reach out to us men here that are on the network. And if we don't have the answer, we'll find it for you. But always find out the why. We do have a why we do all of it for you. Thank you.
That's it.
Mr. Hawkins?
Hey, just, live life as best as you can. Keep God first in it.
Yeah.
And all things work for his good. So
Yeah. There you go.
And sorry, Mr. Malum kind of got dropped off somehow, but we do appreciate him. We appreciate you, Mr. Hawkins. We appreciate you, Mr. Vaughn.
Yes,
And we
sir. Thank
also appreciate you, Darren, for joining the conversation and learning a
you.
lot. I know there's some gems in there that you can take with you on your daily life
Yeah.
and be blessed with. So, fellas, we are done for today, and we can't wait until the next one.
Yeah.
All
See
right.
you guys later.
Have a great day, everybody.
Have a good one.
The future of Black boys in America is bright, not because the barriers have been removed, but because they have the strength, resilience, and support of overcoming them. By raising Black boys who are confident in who they are, proud of where they come from, and prepared to navigate the world, we are ensuring that systematic racism will never define their limits or their legacy. I am your host, Kyan Edwards. Make sure you join us next month for another engaging talk with empowered men, building bridges and breaking barriers.